The Living reaching you from nation's capital Abuja. I am Olamide Al-Hassan. Now, Nigeria is grappling with a staggering mental health crisis as millions of its citizens suffer from issues that lead to worry and anxiety. The World Health Organization estimates that a whopping 20% of Nigerians, or around 40 million people, are affected. Stress is synonymous with living in Nigeria, and this is evident in our day-to-day life, from the non-existent power supply to the poor road networks and never-ending traffic to the erratic public transportation, the overworked and underpaid low-income earners, high cost of living. The list is endless. Some of Nigeria's most prevalent mental illnesses include depression and anxiety disorders. Now, with the recent removal of fuel subsidy and the various economic policies that has resulted in hike in price of the living of the common man, stress and anxiety have become inevitable. Worthy of note is that stress and anxiety have a significant real-life impact on our health. Today on the program, we have pharmacist Samuel Adamate discuss the medical implication of stress and anxiety with us as it relates to diseases. Yeah, welcome to the studio, pharmacist Adamate.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm great, thank you.
You're fine.
Thanks for joining us. All right, since we're discussing stress and anxiety today as it relates to other diseases of the body, can you help us first of all make sense of what stress and anxiety means? Because a lot of people just believe that they have anxiety and they have stress, and probably they don't even understand what it really is.
Okay, well, let me thank you once again. Like you mentioned when we were preparing for this program, you said, sorry for stressing you. Everybody have that definition of stress.
Okay.
Like, I said last time that your truth, my truth, will not be the fact.
True.
What you think as your truth. So everybody has their own definition of stress. You feel you have worked too much, that's stress. So, and I like defining from an authority so that it's what guides everybody, like the word. And also, according to WHO, it says stress is a state of worry. That state of worry also means mental tension. For you to be worried is mentally to a difficult situation. So you have three things there, two things rather, one and the same. There's worry, which is the same thing as mental tension to a difficult situation. So what it means is that is your natural response, the natural human response that is prompt to challenges and threats of life. So if there are challenges, what you naturally respond to, that is where stress comes into play and the response. And so threats and challenges, want to kill you, that's threat. Someone want to harm you, challenges what you are facing to try and overcome. Now, taking it to anxiety is like the end point of stress. Anxiety is now looking at now the anticipation of a future concern. You are stressed, you are worried about something. The future concern of it, what you think will come from your worry about something. And so what it results to is that it leads to muscle tension or avoidance behavior, because now is that the end point, because you are worried about what will happen next, it will now begin to affect you, your body. Your blood vessels will now be tensed to meet up to that. And so your natural response to that, to stress, is now anxiety. That's when now that muscle tension and avoidance behavior. So it's your anticipation of a future response, a future concern rather, of what you're thinking of. So what you're going to, there's a problem, how will I solve it, the end point. So because of how will I solve it, you have not thought of the situation, you're worried about it. There will not be muscle tension and also avoidance behavior. Avoidance behavior will now come out to avoid that issue so that I'll be fine. That's the natural human response to it. So anxiety is actually that end point of stress. So you see the way I was able to break it and so you worry about something.
Yes.
The end point
is actually anxiety.
Anxiety, yes.
You know, because you talked about the avoidance thing. I think there was a time when I had a guest that said men actually put to flight when it comes to stress and anxiety, while women fight it.
Yes.
How
okay.
True?
Well, on that aspect, I don't know where you got that from. It was from somewhere, because maybe the natural behavioral tendencies. But we all know that in as much as the woman tend to, we don't know that whether before tending to fight it, she must first of all see where she wants to. That avoidance behavior is not actually running away from it. It's actually looking for the best solution to it. Like now, you owe a rent, and the landlord, you are not worried, I'm owing rent. So the next point is, will the landlord come and push me out of the house? because the worry is leading to that. Will I be embarrassed in front of people around me? Where will my kids stay? That will not cause blood pressure to go up, because that's the muscle tension. So now you're trying to, the solution to it now, let me just, before the landlord comes to push me out, let me take my family away, avoidance behavior, or let me just dodge, don't see the landlord.
Okay.
So yeah, but you have not found a solution that is proper about that, because even if you take your children away, you are still worried. I have not paid them, where will they stay? So you're trying to avoid any embarrassment that comes to it. So to that issue of the men and the women, that might be that a lady might confront you, okay, I'm taking the child away. The man will just be there and be thinking, what next? Thinking, and at the end is being affected. So in both ways, it's still that behavior that has come into play.
Now, since stress is actually like an endpoint of anxiety.
Anxiety is actually the endpoint
of stress, I beg your pardon. That means we can always be taking them interchangeably.
Very well.
So now let's talk about, because it is, the way you explained it now, I can tell that stress is relative.
Yes.
So which means that we cannot pinpoint a specific cause for stress. But after all, then we can proceed to start looking at some of the signs and symptoms that can tell that somebody has stress before we now go to the implication on our health.
I think I will not totally agree. We also cannot pinpoint.
Okay.
Because from the definition of stress, a state of worry.
Yeah.
Some things can make you get worried now.
That's why I said it's relative. So maybe we may not be able to define the cause for each person.
Okay. Well, I like that point, but let's look at some things generally.
Okay, great.
Now, I divide it personally into needs.
Oh.
Government policies, others. So, rentage, for someone that has not paid rent, debt, school fees, those are needs. They can make you get worried if you don't have a present solution to food. Yes, so that's anything, but it has to be needs. That's why he said. That's why when you say it was relative. Now, if an put it as need, you know that this man or woman, they must have a need, in as much as they might not be the same need, but it make them worry. So that's why I said the issue of relative might not come, because we have not categorized it.
True.
Then government policies now. Government bring a policy of subsidy removal.
Especially now, it's biting
really hard. So you see that removal now begin to get you worried. My salary that they have not increased. How will I now still feed the same number of kids that I was feeding when the subsidy was still there? How will I transport easily to the office? You can see government brought in cashless policy. You know what happened during cashless policy?
Oh goodness, cash crop.
You know, we saw people that we went to the bank to cause mayhem. They stood on top of seats and you could have your money, you could not spend it.
Exactly.
I know I stood on the queue for a long period of time. When I got to my turn, there was no money from the ATM. Okay, let's even look at the fact that you go to get something from a supermarket. After buying, you want to pay with your card, and it declines, and you are debited. You get so worried and so unhappy about the whole thing. So it's a policy, but it has made you now worry. You're now tensed. That's one. Then apart from that, look at the issue of when there was COVID. Because of what you heard that COVID could do, you get worried. People started taking drugs, combine so many things to take. Why were they taking? They were worried. They don't want to die. They don't want to get hurt, because that's the end point. So you see, government policies, about government policies, sicknesses, war, look at insecurity. I don't know, you talk about the review of papers this morning that you do sometimes. Look at what's happening in Plateau. There are killings, right?
Honestly.
Whether it's political, whether it's, I don't know what's happening, but the persons that are there, it's a threat. Look at people in that community.
Threat to their lives.
Yes, the man knows that we don't know if they will come tomorrow to attack us.
Nobody's sleeping with their eyes closed anymore.
So they are worried. So when they are worried now, you can see there are cascade of events that will come from there. They are not stressed out from there. So then apart from the other issues, somebody might be sick.
Electricity tariff hike.
Exact tariff hike. So you're saying it. These are all governments. Thank God you mentioned. So you can see when that one comes to it. So the problem is not actually
price of tomatoes in the market, price of bread.
Yeah, I like this discussion. So
it's part of it, because I know that a lot of people are thinking right now, where would I get the money to do this? Where will I get the money to do that?
So the point is that stress is a natural way. Something that you don't like comes. But the issue is, do not dwell. That's where it becomes detrimental to your health.
No.
The subsidy removal, I'll get worried now. But I do not dwell on it. I need to now look for a solution to it. Because let me tell you, when I was growing up, I used to, I think if there was a term called worritarian, I should be called that term, because I was only worried for everything.
Why?
Let me just say, my mom's car was stolen. I was worried on my mom that her own car was stolen. At the point she came to meet me, you're not the owner of this car. Why you don't kill yourself now? So it was later I found out the issues of worry, and no. So if there was a term, so it's not, yes, if your car is stolen, yes, you get worried now. You are bothered. Yes, it's an issue. But it's now every morning, night, every day, you're just thinking, this guy. You dwell on instead of looking for solution. That's where it becomes detrimental to you. So you see, there are causes of it, which are just divided into needs, government policies. Others can be physiological. Somebody's child is sick, have a particular deformity, or somebody has an ailment that is managing. You get worried. But the truth is that worry can even worsen that ailment that one is having. We will come to that, talking about the science and the like. So look at the causes. So you can see that the cause might not be relative because but the point is that there's a bottom line.
There's a generic.
Yes, you are worried.
To
classify it and the like. So that's it for that.
So now let's talk about the signs and symptoms, because I believe we can now move from there to the implication on our health. So let's talk about the signs and symptoms of both of them.
Okay, one of the major signs of stress, dwelling on it, because like I said, stress is not bad, in quote, in the sense that it's something that happens as a natural response to threat and challenges. It's a natural response. As long as you're human in this world, you're going to respond to it. But it's the dwelling that is the problem. So when you begin to dwell on that issue that is disturbing you, one of the things it takes away is your sleep. And I will tell you why it takes your sleep later on. It takes away your sleep. It worsens the pre-existing ailment. So someone is, last time we talked about portion control.
Yes.
And we said portion control can, if you overeat, it can make you get prone to diseases and infection. I mentioned about atherosclerosis.
Of course.
If you are worried, you release some stressor hormones that can worsen hypertension that one is already having as a result of portion control. As a result of overeating, stress. I will come to that.
Okay.
Then you can see. Then it can also increase or worsen, exacerbate mental ailment. So someone's already stressed, and so anxiety comes into play, which is a mental issue, and depression, like I told you earlier. So someone that is a psychotherapist or someone that has to do with that to talk about the mental aspects. I'm talking about the body aspect. So you can see, you can just at the signs. One of take away your sleep. Somebody's already sick, he worsens the ailment, he persists the ailment, worsening, then exacerbate or worsen the mental issues and the like. So that's where this sign comes from, and the symptoms that you notice from someone that is stressed up. So now you want us to go into how it relates to that.
Yes, the implications.
Okay, yes. Remember the last time I said, when we spoke, I said the brain itself is whatever you get to it goes back. When one is stressed, when I mean stress now, what I mean is dwelling on that stress. Because so it's not like you come to the office and your boss gives you an assignment that you have not done before. Naturally, there's a change. It's a challenge facing you. Rather than looking for a solution on how to manage that challenge that has been given to you of handling so files, maybe 200 instead of handling 10 before or 20, you are not sitting and say, how will I do this? Why will I do this? How will I do this? Let me shock you. During the issue of cashless policy, and by essentially we had fuel queues. A lot of people were worried that time.
Yes.
I told myself, I will go to the fueling station. I will queue up like every other person. If I get to the point, and maybe I just get to my point to buy my turn, and they say the fuel is finished, I will just take my vehicle or my car and go home. How many people would do that after waiting maybe 4 or 5 hours? Maybe just get to your point now.
Okay, so why did you tell yourself that? Is it
because
you're trying to prepare yourself for lack of stress?
Yes, I was already preparing myself because I know that the implication of stressing myself. Because, sorry to say, let me just bring it here now. As a Christian, when the Bible says, if possible, live peacefully with all men, you think it was just, the Bible did not know what it was saying. Or when he says, be anxious for nothing, it doesn't know what he was saying. There are also medical implications for it.
Okay.
Yes. So I said, I will just, because my shouting, causing me, no, will not bring the fuel for me to buy. There, I will just be harming myself. I said, if I go and stand on the queue to get money during cashless policy, I get there to my point, and they said there's no longer money at the machine again. I'll just say, okay, thank you. Breathe in, breathe out, go home. Because I felt I'll move on to what I was going to do. Because the fact that if I start hitting or go angry, I was going to harm myself. And that's why I'm going to tell you how it happens.
Please, sure.
Now, the body responds to, like you mentioned earlier before the program started, fear of flight. So, when someone is stressed, your kidney is a bean shape.
Yes.
If you look at it, like it's just bean cereal. On top of it has a cap. Okay, if you look at it, there's a cap there, like a face cap. I'm using that word, like a covering. That's what you call your adrenal area. It's divided into the adrenal medulla and adrenal cortex. I don't want to use these medical terms. So, when one is stressed up, for example, the brain sends signal to that adrenal medulla and says, Sam is stressed. Because Sam is stressed, he needs more energy to do his work.
True.
He needs to be mobilized more. So he releases those stressor factors. What those things does is that when they are released from the adrenal medulla, they go around the body, act on it so that to meet up to that your stressor level. Like I mentioned that during the time we're talking about portion control.
Yes.
And that causes increase in blood pressure.
Okay.
So your continuous state of being stressed, meaning that those stressor hormones will be released continuously, blood pressure by extension will come down with hypertension. You can see one ailment from being stressed, dwelling on stress.
Yes.
Hypertension can result, and from hypertension you can lead to other complications, stroke, other cardiovascular issues. I mentioned that. 2. Another stress hormone called cortisol is released. From that, now it's from another part of that adrenal organ called the adrenal cortex. Before we come to that, cortisol, which is released, has its own effect normally, which is good. For the way you are, cortisol helps to regulate how your glucose function in the blood and the like. So someone now wants to burn down fat, doing exercise and burning down weight and the likes. When there's reduction in glucose for energy, cortisol sends glucose. So it's cortisol sends glucose to the blood, so it's mobilized and say, okay, bring glucose so that the person can continue doing what he's doing.
Yes.
That's a healthy way of living. Cortisol helps to regulate your immune system. If there's no cortisol in your body, you will fight yourself and you die. So your immune system, cortisol puts it at a level that can be there, that is healthy for you. You know, your immune system is the one that regulates, protects you against infections and the like, generally keeps you healthy. It also has a level that is supposed to be there. It's cortisol that regulates it. Cortisol is the one responsible for regulation of your sleep, waking up and sleeping, circadian rhythm, meaning that in the morning when it is high, you cannot sleep. In the night, when it's low, that's why I said when someone is stressed, cortisol is released, you can't sleep. Remember I said one of the signs of stress.
So is that supposed to be insomnia?
Yeah, yes, you can look at when somebody has insomnia, when they run the test, they'll say one of the things they will find out that is, yes, there's high level of cortisol. But so you see, that's why I say when somebody is stressed up, and so when they say go and relax, relaxation is not going to sleep, because you can be relaxed and be stressed and be thinking of that thing that is disturbing you. You will not still sleep. But as long as there's stress, your cortisol level is high, you're awake, you can't sleep. So you need to bring it down. So that's where, so cortisol on its own is good. But when it becomes excess, that's when it causes the problem. So going back to that issue of being stressed, I've talked about that first part of that will cause hypertension. The second part of that now is when that cortisol is released. Now, when cortisol is released, first of all, when it's too much, see what it does to your gastrointestinal tract. It does something there. It causes inflammation. Your gastrointestinal tract has both good and bad bacteria. It filters it. But because of excess of cortisol, because of stress, it causes inflammation. So it allows the bad bacteria to go into your system. So when it goes into your system, your body sees that bad. So your body will mobilize and say, white blood cells go and fight this thing. It's not good for the body. White blood cells goes there to fight, carry fluid, fight it and leads to diarrhea because it's carrying excess fluid to that area. For your white blood cells to go and fight, it must go with fluid. So somebody of having stress coming down with diarrhea. That's why chronic stress can lead to diarrhea.
I'm surprised because
you see, so you can see the linkage of being stressed.
A huge revelation.
Stressed too. You're someone that just been, like I said, it's not the matter of being.
So somebody can be having diarrhea now, and
you know that stress. So
oh
you see the relationship with that now. So you see, that's why I said, if you know about this, you know how to regulate and live your life. Apart from portion control,
yes,
you have to now
I know
check.
You will take us through the regulation.
Yes,
but let's keep.
yes. So now that's for that purpose. Now you now have digestive issues. Now let's talk about for weight gain, cortisol. Now I want people to listen carefully, because if people get about this understanding about weight loss and weight gain, it's easier to handle it. So that you will not be.
I'm sure lots of people are interested in this aspect.
Someone want to go and lose weight.
Okay.
Burn calories. Once you start jogging and you're burning it, the one you have eaten has left, the one that is stored. Remember I talked about adipose tissue that time. They are being, so the one from the other body are being used. For you to, because another thing now, the reason why cortisol is coming up is that when you are stressed, it means the fact that the body sees you as needing more, you need more energy to do something. So why it's sending cortisol is that cortisol is going to bring glucose into the blood. Remember I told you about glucose coming to give you that energy. So the same thing happens when you're exercising. When you're exercising, you have burned the glucose in the body, the one that is released for the tissues to work. So the tissues need more because you're still working. So cortisol will now come and say, all those organs that we stored glucose, adipose tissue, the fat tissues, the muscle marks, and all, they will bring them out. Glucose out. So it brings to the blood. So at that point in time, the cortisol that is being released because you're exercising is needed for that point to do the exercise, to regulate it back. If you are not stressed along, meaning that stressor factor also releases cortisol, you're not having excess cortisol. So you're exercising, there's cortisol releasing to cause increased glucose. Coupled with the fact that you are stressed, more cortisol, meaning more glucose will come. More glucose will come. The one your body needs, it has used it for the exercise. Because now, if, for example, you need 200 calories for that your vigorous exercise, and the glucose level has come because of cortisol, then you are stressed, excess cortisol now comes, add more. So if you're now, instead of having 200 calories to meet up, you're having now 300 because of the excess cortisol. Your body uses 200. The other 100 that is left.
Up 100.
To now go and store 100, not in the muscle mass again, to the adipose tissue around your tummy because of that stress level. So what that happens is that now you are exercising and being stressed, but you're not burning it. So that cortisol now will now lead to now weight. Normally, if you are exercising normally and you're not stressed up, you're supposed to be burning. Okay. But now it has mobilized excess. You are losing weight, but you are still getting, because the weight is accumulating in your tummy region. So you have your muscle mass is small, thin hands and but your stomach is still big. So you see that you're exercising, you think you are burning, you're not burning, because as I said, somebody, you should not be thinking of subsidy and exercising. You just waste your time, because or thinking of how you offended somebody or the debts, and you are jogging, doing your running on the treadmill, I think of somebody you're owing. You're wasting your time because you're not going to burn any fat there. Just look. Really? Apart from the fact that, and you have also stressed. When you are trying to burn down with stress, makes you, the release of cortisol during stress makes you get that cravings for sweet things. Sweet things. Oh. That's why you see somebody, okay, let's look at it practically. When they give you this heavy work or you're working overdrive in the office, you want to just get Coke. You want to get snacks. You want
sometimes we feel like we need
energy. So all those things now, when I say all those fatty food or salty food and all because that's the cravings you want to. You won't see yourself want to eat all those things that are low calorie dense food. You just want to take it, all those ones that are sweet and all. So that will not accumulate fat in those adipose tissue. So you can see. So cortisol, which ordinarily will help to make you lose weight well, during stress will not. You now begin to gain weight and gain bad weight. Because you will be having bad fats around your tummy region.
No, that some persons would say that when they are stressed, they gain weight.
They gain weight.
But some persons would also say when they are stressed, they lose weight.
Okay, now, you look at it now. This person that is saying when they are stressed, are you sure actually when they are stressed that they lose weight? Because I said from the beginning, how do you define the stress? There's a definition of stress. This person that is saying he's stressed, maybe looking at stress is when I'm doing excess work.
Because you know why I said so?
Yes.
Some persons don't look at you like, why have you lost weight? Have you been stressed lately? You know, that's the first thing people will ask you. You've lost weight. Looks like you've been really stressed.
Yes.
That's the next thing that people always say.
That's why I say, what is that definition of stress? Because now, you know, we said worry and mental tension.
Yes.
If they give me this essay, because that person is thinking that, okay, yes, you are doing something that is beyond you. You that is doing something that is beyond you. Are you worried about what you are doing? Because the point is that you must first of all feel it's a difficult thing for you to do, and you are worried about it before we can now look at that term that is stress. You remember the word I said? Because for you to be stressed now, you need to now take those cravings, take those things that will make you add. But if you're losing weight, are you taking those things that stress will normally cause? For you to know this person is actually stressed. That's why I said, what is the definition of stress for this person?
Okay.
I didn't get the point. You're saying that. As I said, I have a different definition. Because for you to say you are stressed, we are worried about something. Yeah, so your boss gives you a job to do outside the normal ones you do before. And you feel that this work is just too much for me. It's difficult. So I need to beat time. Rather than planning very well, you want to try and finish this thing today. Let us go home. No, you want to do it. You continue, you are tired because you in your mind, I need to meet up. It's deadline. So when you are weak, you're tired, you want to get, instead of resting, you want to get something that will put your energy at that same level. That's what you're talking about, the stress. But somebody now comes and says, oh, because the fact that you reduce, you assume that this is actually stress. Because you're not eating and you're not bothered about something. That's starvation. Your body will mobilize glucose from other part of the organs to use. You will reduce now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we not call that one stress. See, because I'm not eating. Or because
sometimes too much work can make no room for eating.
That's the point. That's too much work. Allow me. That's too much work, and you are doing it without looking at the fact that they are stressing me, or not using that word stress now. They are making me do too much of work. I'm worried about this work I'm doing. It's difficult for me. Because it's that point of when it's difficult. Remember we said it's a difficult thing that will now mobilize those other things to now the cortisol to come out. If I know they give me this big work, I've planned for it and I'm doing it. Though it's big, but I already made a plan. I told you now, we all go and ski up. Do we have the same mindset? I've made up my mind that if I get to that point, I will go. Somebody is praying, I should get to buy fuel. I must get fuel today. Those worries.
True.
Am I not that you?
At all.
I said no, I will. So you see the difference. Why that one can come down with, they say, Sam, you are still the same way. You are sleep. Are you being stressed up? You are slim. The other person is stressed but is fat. Why? The person was worried. Well, you're in the same queue. Do you know if I was worried? You are looking at the physical attribute of both of us are on the queue.
This thing is hard though.
You are looking at both of us on the queue. That's why I said. It's what your truth and material that is the fact. You must look at the definition. He said it's worry causing mental tension to a difficult situation. What do you define as being difficult to you?
True.
That's it.
You know, I just remembered something. There was a time when I met a lady that would always say that she's anxious, and whenever she's anxious, she always has diarrhea. And I was wondering, what is this person saying?
You see?
But today,
you don't know why.
I can relate.
You see where the cortisol is coming from, because that's it. So we are going to talk about weight gain and why it's related. Now, normally when you are burning weight, cortisol, when you are losing weight and burning fat, cortisol is released to assist you. But when you are stressed, excess of cortisol will now reduce it. That
also reminds me that I think I was talking to a fitness expert, and he was saying that the fact that you want to burn fat and you keep it in your head like, I have to burn this fat, you will not. You see burn now, so anything. You see what I'm saying. So he's saying it now psychologically. It's not making sense. It's like a puzzle that's going to make sense. You're not adding together now. So you see, because the stress level of that warrior will release cortisol, so that will decrease in muscle mass. Meaning sense that cortisol will mobilize glucose from the muscle mass and from protein. Now it will mobilize it to the system, but it will not distribute it well because you are being stressed. If you are not stressed, you are doing exercise, you mobilize those ones well. If those ones finish, it will mobilize from the adipose fat. But because you are stressed, when you mobilize excess of it, they will not be well distributed. So this one happened after that weight gain issue now. Because of excess of fat now in the adipose tissue, because of stress-related cortisol release, what happens is that when glucose comes in again, if you are still more stressed or doing exercise, insulin is supposed to take glucose to where it's supposed to act. You know, that's the reason now. That's why, to say, take it to this guy is working, this guy is already stressed, give him more glucose. But that fat already in the adipose side will make that insulin to be less sensitive. It can't pick glucose. So you'll be having insulin in the blood, having glucose in the blood, but the glucose cannot go to the system. So that will now result to diabetes. All right. Let's go on a break before we proceed and talk about diabetes, because I know diabetes is a lot to actually break down. All right, viewers, let's go on a quick break. Our return pharmacist Adamati will still be taking us through stress and anxiety. Stay with us. Viewers, welcome back. This is still Healthy Living, reaching you from the nation's capital, Abuja, and we're still discussing stress and anxiety, especially looking at the implications on our health, and we're discussing with pharmacist Samuel Adamati. Before we went on the break, you were telling us about how it can also lead to diabetes. Please, can you give us more details on that?
Okay, I said once cortisol is being released, we talked about the issue of the weight gain aspect, which you understood very well. So meaning that because of excess cortisol, the not enough glucose, because the number of glucose you're supposed to take in as you're doing your exercise and the likes are gone. So the rest is being mobilized to go and be stored in adipose tissue, fatty. Now, when you still have more glucose in the blood, maybe you eat or glucose is being mobilized from the tissues as a result of exercise. Because I told you earlier that cortisol helps to regulate glucose through metabolism of fats and proteins and the like. That's one of his good job. So you have that glucose in the blood. How does glucose function? Insulin will come and pick it to take it to the blood, to the tissues to work. What we are talking now, you're jogging. Now, because of that fat in those adipose tissue there, because of the storage I mentioned earlier, they make insulin less sensitive to glucose, meaning that it cannot see glucose and say, glucose, where are you? Let me pick it to where I'm going to work. Fat is now blocking it. So when the fat is blocking it, the body thinks, because the brain will think that, glucose is in the blood. The only way to respond to glucose is insulin. Pancreas produce more insulin. So you now have high level of insulin in the blood. That is what we call hyperinsulinemia. There's insulin in the blood, there's also glucose in the blood. The insulin is not carrying the glucose because there's fatty tissues, adipose tissues there. What causes the adipose tissue? What causes the storage, increase in storage of fat is cortisol release because of what? Stress. Adrenaline stress.
Hey.
So that increase in glucose now in the blood, that's where you now have diabetes issue now comes from. You can
Small, tiny worry.
Yes. I didn't say small, tiny worry. I said dwelling on the worry.
Exactly.
Because you can worry about dwelling on it.
You know why I called it small, tiny worry? Because it starts from a little thing to a little thing, and then it keeps compounding, and then we start dwelling there.
There was one research that was done by FAO, 1858. It was looking at couples that are married and couples that are not married, looking at who dies more, the single or the married ones. FAO did a study and found out that it was the married one that died most at 1858. He did not look, he just did married, unmarried, and widows.
Yeah.
So he did not look at the fact that these married ones you're talking about, did they stay together?
Okay.
So I can be here married, that was it. Other people did that along the line with him, and they collaborated with what he said, that unmarried ones die before married ones, as that married ones live longer. Wait now. So it was a research called, and one the people called Glaciers revisited that research. And what I did, they now found out that they now looked at people that stay together in relation, cohabit and likes. And after their research in a long time, found out that the unmarried person that smokes, dies is at even a lesser risk of dying than the one that does not smoke but in a bad relationship. So that tells you that
I didn't get that.
The one that's unmarried.
Yes.
You now found out that it was opposite to FAO's research. That the unmarried, FAO said the unmarried people die faster than the married ones. But he did not look at these married ones you're talking of, the way cohabit and all. So when Glaciers came and did his own, which was more recent, he looked at people that cohabit and all, and found out that the ones that are married tend to not live longer than the ones that are unmarried. So what he's saying is that the unmarried ones even live longer than the married ones that are stressed. That the unmarried one that even smokes
still lives longer.
That the one that is married died of even heart attack, heart failure than the one that is unmarried. Because during stress, enough that during stress in marriage, yes, so things are released. I know. He further did some study also. See what he other thing did. People that are doing examination. He said, okay, he wanted to check their immune system. He might have told you that cortisol regulates your immune system. He found out that those that he tested 2 or 3 weeks to exam were prone to sicknesses.
Okay.
Than those that from the onset, when they just resumed school, they tested them. Because during 2 or 3 weeks, you start reading heavily and you have stress down.
Fall sick during exam. Oh, goodness.
So you see, you can see where stress is coming from, making sense. Because that cortisol now, that I said regulates your immune system, will now bring it down.
There's something you have caused.
What have I caused?
Now you're going to scare lots of young men.
They should start reading on time.
No, besides the reading now, you mentioned
they say in a happy relationship.
Some people might decide not to get married because they
funny enough, when you are happy, when you are happy, you live longer. So why should you be in an unhappy marriage? You should work towards making your marriage.
Relationship.
Yes, now, or in a marriage relationship. Why should you? Then it's no longer good for you. Now, are you going to be there and facing domestic violence and I should be there? No.
Okay, now I understand why a lot of people fall sick during exams, because it's beginning to all make sense.
You see now,
and I'm sure viewers are understanding
this
now.
You can see the role of cortisol.
A lot of students fall sick.
Because you can't see the role of cortisol. Your immune system will calm down because cortisol level will be released. So that, by the way, so I've talked about the issue of diabetes. And so let's even look at reproduction.
Really? It also goes as far as reproduction?
When there's increase, you remember I told you that increase in insulin.
Yes. Because
the body sees glucose more in the blood, because there's less resistance to, less sensitivity to insulin, because of that fat tissue that we have. So the body will now mobilize, produce more insulin so that it can carry this glucose to the tissues. That increase in insulin is an hormone. We suppress reproductive hormone for female. Especially they call it FSA, follicle stimulating hormone. And those are the hormones that are responsible for ovulation, that will not lead to pregnancy and the likes for a female. So you see, that's why people that are watching, most doctors know that when they are managing infertility, one of the drugs they give are drugs to bring down, to control sugar. And that's where the issue is coming from. So that because once there's high level of insulin, it affects that fertility. That's one. Then 2, increase in cortisol reduces testosterone level. So it now causes decreased libido for a man, which can lead to erectile dysfunction. So you are going to take a drug for erectile dysfunction, whereas you do not know that there's stress and stress. That's why a man cannot have sexual intercourse if he's depressed, if he's anxious. For you to be able to have sexual intercourse, you need to be excited and be happy, and that increases testosterone level, which leads to different cascade of activity that leads to erection. So when you are depressed and anxious, cortisol comes in, suppresses testosterone. So those cascades will be affected. So you see where that comes into play for that.
From worry.
From worry. From stress. I say that it's affecting the body.
I never saw this coming.
So you see, so we've talked about hypertension, we've talked about how it can affect diabetes, we've talked about the fact that it can affect fertility, diarrhea.
Yeah.
Now we have not talked about fertility, erectile issues and the likes.
Before we leave fertility, I read a book one time, and the lady was expressing herself. She was talking about a point where she wanted a child so bad, and to the point that her body started acting like she was pregnant, that her stomach started rising to that occasion, and she looks like she was pregnant,
but she was not.
And she refused to believe scan result that there was no baby in it. That they kept, they did scan, there was no baby, but she had been pregnant for 9 months. It was until it got to like a year plus that she realized that she was truly not pregnant, because she felt pregnant all along.
Did you hear what she said? She felt pregnant. That is not a physiological problem. That's a psychological problem.
Wow.
That's a psychological problem, because the thing is that looking at even the issue of fertility, now let's still go back there a little bit.
Yes.
Why stress? A couple looking for a child usually faces, I don't envy them. They faces a lot of pressure from family members, from the society, from friends. I think if you look at the situation of our environment, mostly the female that faces that more. You hear a kind of, they may not be talking about you somewhere, but you feel they're talking about you.
Because everything are pointers actually.
So that causes you to be worried and worsen the situation. I told you what worry can cause now.
True.
So that's why the doctor will tell you, or the physician will tell you, a gynecologist rather will tell you, you're taking these drugs, but try and work on your lifestyle, reduce stress. That stress is telling you is not to say, go and be sleeping. If you are sleeping and thinking, you're wasting your time.
See, this statement, reduce stress, a lot of people have misunderstood
it.
Because
when they say go and stress, I want to go and sleep.
They told, reduce stress, and she resigned.
She resigned from work, you see. That is not reducing stress. So, because when people say, when I say, reduce stress, they mean is that it's a physical activity. See, people that you can be doing yoga and still be stressed. Somebody like me, the way I can release stress is when I go and play football. If you tell me to go and do yoga, I can be doing that thing and looking like this and be thinking of something else, and I'm just wasting my time. So we'll come to that. So we've seen that. You can see how stress, which leads to that anxiety, affects the body. So normally, someone that is let's link it to our last discussion. You're overeating. You're already prone to an ailment. You're now also stressed, worrying about issues in your environment. And so there's muscle tension and the likes. Then there's a genetic factor, social history of hypertension in the family. You are quickly prone. 3 at once. There's a history in the family that this person is diabetic. There's a history in the family that they are diabetic. So there's every risk of him coming down unless he works. Then he's overeating, lifestyle. Then he's not being stressed. 3 in 1. Bam. You see, at an early age, he comes down with that image. Doesn't know where it's coming from. Whereas he just whereas it's something around him, which he is part of. So out of 3, 2 over 3 is part of it. He overeats, then he's stressed. He's the one. Unlike the genetic factor, which you don't have control of. You need to now look at your lifestyle physically to work on so that it delays progression. Okay.
Another thing I want to quickly ask you.
Yes.
Does stress lead to malaria? That's on one side. Then the second one is some women will tell you, I underwent a lot of stress and my menses came back again. Does that make any sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
You know, I said cortisol regulates the immune system. So when one of the signs of malaria is that you see people say they have dry cough, they have sore throat, headache, fever, and the likes. Before you come down with malaria, it means your immune system cannot fight again. So when you are stressed and there's a release of cortisol, what does it do? Cortisol will further bring down your immune system, so make you prone to ailments. So stress can lead to malaria.
Oh. So what about the menstrual cycle thing?
Also, it can alter. Cortisol is an hormone. I told you earlier.
Yes, you did.
That all those regulation of menstrual flow cycle, follicle stimulating hormone, generatory hormone, like stress can alter it because of increase in cortisol. That cortisol, as fantastic as it is with its function in the body to keep you alive, it's also very detrimental if you do things that increases its production excessively in the body. With stress, dwelling on stress is one of those major things. So you can see. Because so that's why I always tell people, because I'm beginning to live it. I just gave my extra about how I say if there was a term called worrytarian, I should be named that. But when I knew about it, I just what I realized that it's not bad to face challenges, but what is bad is to dwell in it. It's rather than looking for solution, you are dwelling. Subsidy. Let's talk about subsidy. Rather than as a CEO in your office, rather than say they remove subsidy, how will I pay my staff salary since I might not be able to get funds to increase the salary? Why not sit down and think about reshuffling and repositioning, restructuring? So instead of coming 5 days, come 3 days, this one, and you are looking for a solution rather than say, hi, how will I look for money and pay when you know you don't have? If you have good, you can increase. But when you don't look for, that's looking at managing stress at that level as a CEO. There's subsidy, remember, you're stressed, but don't dwell on it. Look for solution.
Hey.
You are a worker in the office. They say this is your job role. They increased it. Your natural tendencies are, I'm not happy about it. Why would they increase it? Because they didn't increase my salary. What are the options available? Either I look for another job or look for something better. I've not seen that other job. I am not there. Rather than complain every day and be stressing on because it's not healthy to you, then look for ways that you can adjust this thing and make it right. Let me tell you, people that keep malice, let me say it to you. You think you're helping yourself? The verse for this person.
Are we going there?
The verse, just kiss face. The person is doing his own. You're killing yourself.
Oh my God.
That's what I want to advise. If you keep malice in your place of work, you are wasting your time.
I'm sure you're hearing that.
You keep malice with your husband, if you keep malice with your wife, keep malice with your gate man, your pastor, everybody in your street. You're strong your face all the time. And you think you're helping yourself.
But the situation of the country.
You're killing yourself. You're killing yourself with this thing.
Oh my God.
I need to point that out. Malice is not good medically for your health.
Oh,
it's not bad. Let me tell you, it's okay. As a Christian, it's not bad to keep malice at all. But if you want to keep malice, just keep this one and move on. Some people will keep malice for years. Don't go to what is it now? You see, that's malice. Okay, let me give you. You saw that before this our election. Yeah. There was one governor that was commissioning projects every day. I remember one TV show I used to watch. Every day he was commissioning a project. But before he commissions, the first 30 minutes is to call out people, is to drag everybody in his political party, in one place. You know, can remember the governor calls this one, calls that one, call. Before he said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. Abi, that means the man be thinking about this thing. Then you now saw his speech in 2015, 2023 or 22. You know that this one, haba. He now came out and said he was poisoned, he affected his kidney. And how will your kidney and liver not be affected? Do you think you come out every day? For you to come out every day and be dragging somebody or calling, you might have thought about it in the night. It's disturbing you in your mind now, and you dwell on it.
So you're saying now
so that it affects everything.
Actually detrimental.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what are you keeping malice for or keeping malice with?
We're humans now.
I did not say do not keep it, but do not dwell on that malice. That's what I think. That governor I told you about for almost 2 months at the election period, it was just a haba. I'm sure the level of participation in that man's body, they say haba, guy. So you see, these are things that, and we do not think that these things have a health implication. Somebody will just be angry with the spouse or unnecessarily. There's no crime, just be angry. But do not, it's normal with life. Like I said, it's a normal, natural response. But is that dwelling on it?
But there's something I also remembered now. My guest that once talked about stress with us on the show was saying that there was a time that he got so stressed that he didn't know he was stressed. And I think he was lecturing when he passed out. Is it possible? So you can imagine someone that is that informed being stressed and not knowing. Is it possible to be stressed and not even know? But I hope you have finished talking about the
yes, I'm done with that. I'm done with that.
Before and I'll take you this way.
Yes, it's a two-way thing. It's very possible for you to be stressed and not know. Really, when you do not know your how will I put now? Your elastic limit
for stress.
Apart from that, your elastic limit, and because now some people look at that fact that thank God you asked this question that okay, as long as I'm not worried, I can continue doing it. Mm-hmm. But you also need to realize that your body has a level it can get to. I'm in the office. It's not bad for me to say I want to take a 20 minutes or 15 minutes nap. you come back rejuvenated if there's time. I'm not saying when you come to the office and resume work, you have to go and sleep. That's laziness. What were you doing at night? I started with work, my normal work, and my body is telling me, you need to sleep, you need to rest. And I said, no, I'm going to push it. I need to go, I'll go and take coffee. Your body will get a elastic limit and to pack up. That's the muscle tension I'm talking about now. Because now, there's already, your body is already, there's a difficult situation that it's facing. It's telling you rest, but you are pushing it. You are pushing it. So if you can't tell the elastic limit, it's very possible that you just pack up. Somebody that reads and knows about this, because like I talked last time, that ignorance is actually a problem. If you have knowledge about these things, when you are getting close to your elastic limit, you tell yourself, I want to go and rest. But some persons feel they are Superman. Nothing happens to them. So they feel that they've not gotten to that stress level. I remember I talked about organ capacity last time. That said it reduces every year. So they really realize I'm aging. Things will always happen. They feel that the same man that is still working. So they always want to push that body to that same limit that they were last year or last year that they were stronger. The body will pack up. Because no matter how, those stressor factors will be released. The brain is selfish, I said so. It will always give you what you release. The best is going, release this thing. Put him. Can you press this your hand as strong as it is continuously for 30 minutes? You cannot press
your grip will be reduced.
You get tired. So they are pushing. So even if you are putting something to make it, you still get it. That's when somebody just comes out with heart failure or that the likes or heart attack suddenly, you know, because the heart is contracting. You're still pushing it, it's contracting. Then you just like balloon that got punctured. Just pack up. Just putting more cortisol release. So definitely, it's possible that you are stressed. You won't know if you do not really know your limit, your elastic limit. And to know your elastic limit is not something that's really hard. Your body starts telling you. That's why you're human. They tell you, rest. You want to push it. I can still go. It doesn't.
Okay, your body telling you rest, like you're tired?
Yes, you're tired. If you are reading, there's a point to get to, you start feeling sleepy. You want to go and take coffee to make the eye open like this, this and that. Your body's already telling you naturally. That's why he's telling you that.
You know I'm laughing.
Yes.
Some people pick up their books in 2 minutes.
I'm not talking to two kind of people. I'm not talking about that.
Understand.
Yes. I'm not talking about people that are narcoleptic. People that are narcoleptic. I had a classmate there in school. It's like there's this wind that blows. When they pick their book, they sleep.
We need to understand.
No.
Some people are watching us now.
I'm saying when I want to sleep, I should just sleep. Laziness. And now,
if I'm feeling sleepy,
let me just sleep. They said it.
So,
not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
You see, there's so every action is an opposite and opposite reaction.
Yes.
You cannot overwork yourself over the night, or you play over and after. And you now carry your book and say you want to sleep immediately, the body will still respond. I said it now. The body will respond. This is talking about a physical activity, not even about worry, not even about stress now. I was watching movie over the night and all. When my cortisol level was down that I could be sleeping, I was watching movie. I activated it, I was watching movie. So during the daytime, it will now increase. Then you fall asleep now. You not to say, I carry a book. No. What did you do before then? Did you prepare yourself? The body must always give. It's a give and take thing. You give me, I give you. You give me, I give you. That one is okay. So as I said, thank God we're talking about stress now. Let's look at the one related to the one of stress. You are worried about something. Because even if you are worried about something and disturbing you, you are dwelling on it, you can't even, your eyes open, but you can't even read that book. Because for you to read that book, you need to declutter your mind from that stuff for you to concentrate. So you can see where the issue is coming from.
I like the word declutter.
Yeah, you have to declutter your mind. So maybe that's even the term they should start using now.
Okay, so
keep malice short.
Let's now talk about how we can manage stress. I know it might be relative to different persons, but we should have a common ground.
I like that fact you mentioned that we respond to stress differently.
Yes.
One of the reasons is genetics. There are some people that, because of their genetic makeup, overreact to stress in a sense that small thing that will not bother me bother you.
Too. Okay.
That's it. Then 2, life experiences. Somebody that was involved in an accident in the past will not get worried. We get more worried than somebody that was not even know. So that person will always be scared of traveling, something like that. Life experiences, someone that was involved in maybe domestic violence or abuse, a child and the likes. You see, the person is growing up, you see somebody that just hold the cane, the mind skips, scared, worried and like. Why the other person, why are you bothered about this? Whereas you don't know. So life experiences, so our reaction to stress are different. But the ways basically to manage stress, that you are dwelling on, because I know that word stress is a dwelling, is one, reduce your TV watching of news. Because bad news is too much. You reduce it.
Everybody wants to know
Everybody,
what's going
yes.
on.
Not, if you know you cannot take it, that you are because see, when you hear that Benya Ochiro, there's kidnap, or this one is kidnap, in the news, they kidnap, you get worried of, will I be? And you now say, in the next 3 weeks, you're supposed to travel to Auchi or for one business trip. You start budging about it. Unlike somebody that you don't know about it. Yes, ignorance is also a disease, because you can be caught up with it. Yes, you can be caught. But what I'm saying is, reduce it so that, because too many bad news can just make you start. We are human, we get worried. Oh, there's a Boko Haram, there's insecurity issue, there's armed robbery, you cannot sleep well, you're sleeping in one eye, they just rob that street, So that's one of the things. Then work-life balance. You need to balance it. It's not if you seek, the work will go on. That's the truth. The boss will get somebody else that will continue with the job. So instead of putting yourself under pressure to meet, yes, there are deadlines. Why not? There are people that you see that they wait, play. When it's getting to deadline, that's when they start working. Start doing the work from the onset so that you won't get to when you're tense to start working. That will not be helpful. That's one thing. Do what you like best in terms of exercise. It's not because you are going for yoga, for stress, I'll go for yoga. Like I said earlier, when I go to play football, I drop everything. I won't know that anything is existing.
Especially watching of football.
Yeah, some people watch, they drop everything. So if yours is that, do it. If yours is yoga, and not because you are doing yoga, I will do yoga, because me and you can be doing the yoga. Mine is not, I'm still thinking of this thing. Why you are not? You can declutter your mind from yoga. So the exercise is very necessary. Then also, whatever you are doing that is making you happy, do not do the one that will cause more problems. So people say, hey, let me go and take alcohol. Alcohol is detrimental to you.
Yeah,
it will harm you. So do not do something that, in terms of trying to say, make me be free of worry, has other effects in the body. Then talk to people. Yeah, nobody's an island of knowledge. Nobody should be on his own. Discuss with people, and you can see that thing that is worrying, somebody might just provide the solution. Because the point is, if you have the solution to something, will you be worried? It's when you have a solution to something that you are worried. But do not dwell on it, because worry will not provide solution. When you have a solution to something, you will not be worried. If you don't have a solution, you are worried. That is the truth. But do not dwell on that worry, because the worry will not provide solution.
Some people have now carried planning to become worry. They'll tell you they're planning, but rather they're worried.
They are worried. That was the difference. You don't need to do the difference now. Planning, you should have an end point.
True.
I want to do this. I want to budget this so that I get this to this. For you to plan, you should also have the resources that you're using to plan.
True.
If there's no resources you are planning, worry will come in. So the person that is the difference between someone that is planning and someone that is planning code but is worry is resources. Because I will plan with the available resources I have to achieve a goal. But I am expecting my uncle to give me 100,000. I have planned with it. The day you now call him, say, call me on the 15th for the money, and his phone is switched off. I have already bought this with that 100 expected 1,000. The phone is switched off. I try to get him. Is even worry will come now. So you have planned and enter worry because there's no resource available. So that's the way you can differentiate somebody that is planning but is worrying, and somebody that is planning and actually planning. That's it.
Honestly, this has been an eye opener. In fact,
let me also end with this. If we're ending now,
great. Yes, we are.
I said earlier that the Bible that said you live peacefully. Nobody said it. If possible, live peacefully. And I've told you the reason why you should not keep malice. And he said, "Not just for nothing."
Yes.
He also said one thing again in Psalm 37:8b. He said, "Do not fret. It causes harm." Fret means yes. No. Fret means be anxious continuously. So it was even before you were born. It has been existing. It just told you, do not fret. It will cause harm.
The Bible has always been health conscious.
Yes. We don't even realize. That's correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Really appreciate your time today.
Yes.
All right, viewers, that's where we draw the curtains on today's show. My take home would be, don't keep malice with your neighbors. I'm sure you heard him, and that's how we end the show for today. I am Olamide Al-Hassan. See you again next week.